I'm not sure his name was Darius. There is Darius too, which is the option, and that's one of the problems. Is nobody people say they know what he was his first name, how it was pronounced, but nobody really. I mean, he died in 1939, and so how did I get interested in it? I was working at the reference desk one night, and we had a call come in from the city of Detroit. The city of Lansing. They were looking for information on a house that was on Hillsdale that was once owned by a man named O.F. Friendly. And they believed it was the Mason Bates double house because the house was scheduled for demolition, and Moon had designed a house for Mason Bates. And it was a question of, was this actually the home? And once we started the research, we were surprised that nobody actually knew what Moon had built in the city of Lansing or the surrounding areas. So I decided to start exploring it, and the only way to do it was to read all the newspapers between 1880 and 1910, which I did. He built about 260 structures during his career. He was known for mainly for his homes. He designed 2 or 3 cottages at Roaring Brook near Harbor Springs, some houses in the Thumb, but he was pretty much centered in Ingham County, Eaton County. The earlier part of his career he did a lot of work in Eaton County. Well, the best known one that's left in Lansing is Turner Dodge. He didn't design the actual structure, the original structure on that property. And if you look at the 1859 map of Lansing and Ingham County, you can see what the original structure was like. It was more of a Federalist home, federal style architecture, and Moon was responsible for the structure that's on site right now. Moon was self-taught. He knew construction, carpentry from the basics, and in a certain way, he copied other styles that were prominent at that period, which isn't surprising. It was the norm. Building plans were not copyrighted at that time. You could adopt someone else's structure, make some modifications, and sell it on. He did Queen Anne, which is the Roger Carrier house. There's other examples of the Queen Anne style that he was doing. There's the Shields house that's over on Pennsylvania Avenue, which is another beautiful home. He did some work, and the name's escaping me right now, for a former state rep up in the Thumb area of Michigan. The Pratt Flats that are over on West Ottawa, on the corner of West Ottawa and Martin Luther King. It's a large gray house that sits on the northwest corner. Is another example of his work. He did a house early in Lansing which was lost. It was on River Street, and he did that before he moved here, but he operated in here from about 1880, in Lansing from about 1883 till into 1920s, until his retirement. I think the fact that he was a self-made and self-taught architect is amazing. And given the challenges he faced to be successful, there was more, the odds were stacked against him being successful as opposed to him succeeding. I don't know if I'm being clear on that, but he had very little education. He was self-taught. He went to night school during the winters when he couldn't work as a contractor, and then spent the spring, summers, and fall working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And then again, he would go back to school in the winters, and he would stay and he would rent a room in Lansing, save as much money as possible to attend Lansing Business College at the time, to get a background in business and in architectural drawing, which he did. His house was on Logan Street, which is now Martin Luther King, on the west side between Michigan and Allegan. He essentially owned that whole little block. He owned the west side of that, the east side of that block, facing, which was Logan and Martin Luther King. He owned the lot on the southwest corner of Michigan Avenue. There's a double house there, a set of flats. He lost that due to some poor investments. But he did own that whole corner there. So he had his house there. He had 2 houses on Allegan, right on Allegan. One of them is still standing that he used as rental properties. His current house has been moved to Huron Street. That was the Moon home. and it's impressive. It's on par with the Carrier house, Roger Carrier's house. Not so much the Olds mansion. I believe his father, David, had the wandering bug. He purchased undeveloped land in Delta Township, sold his family farm and business in upstate New York, and moved his family here, which I imagine was a shock to his family because they were fairly well known in upstate New York. And his father stayed here for a period of time and then wandered off and was in Oceana County and dies on the west side of the state in 1864, never returning home.